Welcome back to Calhoun Falls. My name is Joe, and I am just working on our University Plaza area that I was talking about last episode. And I started building this moat, and initially I didn't think the moat was going to be this wide, and it won't be this wide on the other side here where it connects. But I wanted this one to be this wide because I wanted to try to integrate a harbor connection into here, because for a couple of reasons. A, I haven't placed one yet, and I still need the achievement that says place all the different types of buildings you can in one city, so I will need this to be here. And secondly, I thought it would be really cool to have, like a harbor area here, a little bit, because the university's right here, and I figured we'd have most other types of transit connections, so why not add a harbor? And I thought it would also give our downtown area a nice look for it, and maybe this will also help to bring in some tourists for more outside connections. And yeah, so I wanted to put this harbor here. However, the only problem is that the water level is too low. That's it's kind of a weird way that it says it, because it doesn't actually say water level too low, it says road required, and that road is actually the water level. And the water level is so low because I did a good bit of terraforming here, because I wanted this whole area to be at one flat level, and unfortunately that ended up being quite high. So I can do two things. The first thing I can do is to decrease the height, and that will make getting over this mountain much more difficult. Right now, I can get over this mountain with all my traffic, and the traffic's really backed up here because I had to bulldoze the highway to get all this stuff placed in, which this stuff is an extension of the grid system from this way. Yeah. So that's why all the traffic is backed up, because it's a highway that goes into a traffic light and then just goes into some random city streets. So that's why it's messed up. Anyway, but yeah, this is where I'm going to put the university campus, I think starting from here and going up there. So anyway, the other thing I can do with this to try to increase the water level is to put a dam here, at least temporarily, so that the boat will actually, so the water level will rise and the boat will actually be able to dock with this. Now, because this is the level that I believe I want the, this area to be, I think that means I will have to make a canal that's approximately this wide. I mean, it doesn't have to be this wide, but I would like the boat to be able to have some connection up to this area over here. Anyway, I will have to now build this canal out all the way, like, up this way, and then, connecting into here, to be able to put a different harbor area up here. I believe that I want to put that harbor area probably here-ish, because I think this is roughly where I'd want the next connection to be, and that would also give us a way to connect from, I could put a highway junction here-ish, and that would connect from our harbor to the highway, and I could integrate some transit from the harbor into this area and this whole part of our city. And that would help to serve our suburbs as well, because that suburb highway is this highway. So this is roughly where I want to put the other end of the canal. So I think I want to have it coming all the way up here, being reasonably flat, and it might have to kind of go like this and then kind of go like that diagonally. So that's going to take a while, and I'm going to go ahead and try to time-lapse that. And so I'm going to do that, and I'll see you when either I have a big enough problem that I have to cut back in, or when I'm done. Okay, everybody, welcome back in to the recording, and I have done most of this area right here. The highway's still a little messed up, but that's, it's expected. I said that would happen. And what I've also done is I have put in a lot of this big canal here, and I even started to do the turn. So once we get water in here, I can then make sure that the actual seaway will be able to do this turn, which I hope that it will, but if need be, I can turn it down to a narrow seaway, and that one I'll actually be able to curve, so I know that one will be able to do the turn. Either way, it should be fine. I did want to also briefly mention this street, which is now also called Briar Rose Street. A lot of things are called Briar Rose in this game. And that's going to run parallel to here for a little bit. And what this street is actually going to be is that's going to have the harbor on it, but it's also going to have the highway connection, right? So I want this street, this is an 8-lane road, so this is one of the biggest ones it's one of the biggest ones you can make in the game, the vanilla game. And that one is going to connect to the highway, probably somewhere around here, possibly, a bit before that harbor. I think probably here is where that highway junction is going to be. And then that's going to come down and sort of form the backbone for this downtown area, and then come back up. Maybe it'll go like this, like this, like this, and then connect back up to the highway somewhere up here. So that's going to be like a, outer loop highway or a business loop highway. And then we'll have some more things coming off of that. So hopefully that should work well. It's a really big road, so you can do a few things with these really big roads. I'm going to use some of these subway props here, and what you can do with these is you can put them like that on this road, so it's possible that we will be able to put 2, although it doesn't really look like we can, and that is certainly a messed up prop. So I guess you have to put those in the middle. That's not a big deal. Either way, you can also just put them in the middle, and so that is something that we're going to do a fair amount. And because they're in the middle, we can also have this grass on the side because it's a really big road, and we can go ahead and put our pine trees on the sides of that. So I think that looks pretty decent, and we're going to have a few of those subway lines running along that track, possibly up to here, although I'm not totally sure when they'll join on to that street because of the way we are going to make the University Transit Center. I want that University Transit Center to act, which is going to be on this side of the canal. At least I had thought. It's possible that I could put it over here, but I was thinking about putting at least the subway yard over here. Perhaps I'd put the train station right here, and I think that would actually be a fairly good use of this space, to have one of these large train stations over here, and it fits in very well. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is to put one of these in here, most likely. I am still a little bit torn over where I precisely want to put this train station. I think here is probably a pretty good bet, because I can then get rid of this little road here, and that'll fit in pretty nicely. At least it should. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. I think we are going to do a bit of a cut here, possibly do another time lapse, and so we'll see you when this canal is connected up to the river, and hopefully that will increase our water level. But hey, we'll see you then. Welcome back to Calhoun Falls. This, I believe, is the canal. It's mostly done, and instead of adding a dam, I added basically, an earthen dam, sort of, so that we could bring up that water level and then have it flow down the other side gently, but still have that large mass of water behind here. And I haven't done that all the way up the canal. I only did it in a couple places. For example, up here, I did it right when this canal connects to this river in the downtown area. And another thing that's doing is that it's making the water level in this section of the river lower because obviously the flow is being moved into this section. Now, I was able here to put this harbor up like this, right here, and I am glad I did that because it's what I wanted over here. And so this harbor is going to have a couple of bus places that take, I think this is mainly going to be terminals in this section will go into this harbor, and then maybe the boat will be able to take people down to this harbor in this large area. Initially, I was thinking about putting a train line and connecting it to this downtown station here, and then having that train go over this way. But I think that I don't know how much demand there's going to be for that. Hopefully some. But B, I'd also like people to be able to take that ferry line, and I think I'd like to encourage them to do so. So I'm going to have buses connect to this harbor, and also some more buses maybe coming out in this area. This might be some more low density area over here, and maybe some medium density over here that kind of goes along with this area. I think some row houses would look pretty good. Those aren't row houses. Yeah, an area like the northern half of Thornton Peak over here would look good. So yeah, that canal, it's been taking a pretty long time to fill up, and that's why there's such a steep drop-off here, is because A, there's an elevation change, along the slope and down like this, and also the water level is only being backed up to this level, which is just it's a little bit above sea level, but not a ton. The elevation of the top of this area is 120 feet, and the elevation over here is around 600. Yeah, it's 568 to 500 feet. So that's another thing, is that the highest water level that this can ever be is whatever the water level here is. So that is, and of course it cannot ever be higher than the level that our water source is, which is over here. This is our water source for the map. And that is at a height level of, it looks like 1,000 feet. So it's possible that I could move this up another little bit, but I'd have to end up flooding the river, and I don't want to do that. So this is kind of just going to have to be how it is here, and that's going to be somewhat janky, unfortunately. I could try lowering the ground level of this harbor to compensate for that, but that would necessitate a lot of terraforming, and I did already have to terraform this area quite a lot, so that might not be the best idea. I think as long as we can get a ship line to work there, and it will connect to this. So I think as long as we can get a ship line to work at that area, I think it's good. So yeah, I think it's fine. Additionally, I also messed with the highway a little bit. I changed this bridge to go up here and put in a highway connection for this harbor in this area so that people can use that. And I have also, so I'm gonna bring this highway out a bit, kind of along this a large canal. I'm a little, I think I want it to be, you know, right along here ish, kind of going diagonally, like that is, especially because we have this large mountain range here and I want to get it past the mountain range. And then when we're about at this spot, I think I want to have an interchange where this, or maybe here would be a good spot. I think right here would be a pretty good spot to put in a highway intersection where that one would go off the map and serve this area, and then that second highway would keep coming on down, possibly, and reconnect with this highway. And I did mention that I wanted the highway to kind of go in through here a little bit, and then connect up with this large street before it turned out that way. So there are a few ways we could do that, but I'm not too concerned with that in this episode. And plus, I think this episode's already getting kind of long, and the main point was supposed to be the canal, which has almost filled up all the way. It'll take a little bit more time, and so that's just gonna have to, we're just gonna have to let the game run. But in the meantime, I have started filling in the blocks a little bit for our university area. And I think that this is looking really nice here with these keys set up and this grid starting to form in. I believe that also I could put in the harbor right here if I wanted to, and it will let me do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we are going to give that a bus terminal. So hopefully the level of our ship line will keep rising as the water has risen, and I think that that harbor looks really nice right up in there. So especially with that transit terminal. And this transit terminal I think will work as a good transit terminal for this area and this area. And hopefully that will work in conjunction well with our large train station, which I think I want to put over here. I believe I want to put this large train station right on over here. And that's why I wanted one of these streets to be taken out. Although, strangely, it looks like I can just place it here on top of this street, so I am not totally sure about that. I think that's a bug. I'm not going to do that because I don't want it to crash my game. So yeah, I believe that right about here is where I want that train terminal to be. So that'll go here. And on this side I want a little bit more parking for this area. And I want to change that a little bit so it's right up there. And I will put in a business right there. Hopefully that'll be a gas station. The only time you'll ever hear me say that. Okay, I think we'll go with the station services. I think we should go with the taxi stop. And I do definitely want to put in this subway interface onto this train station. And yeah, we may as well put on the extra platforms as well. So this is where all of our intercity trains are going to be going to. And this will work great as a large intermodal hub. So that'll be good. I was wanting to put in this, one of these large subway stations. So I guess first let's just build that subway yard. And yeah, I was definitely thinking about putting in one of these elevated subway stations, a large one, to act as a hub for this area. But I don't think that here, that being here is a great idea, and let's just fully upgrade that. So that gives us, it looks like 2 subway platforms, and so that is a really good, strong transit area that we have right there. So I like how that looks. And this is going to be our big transit hub. So I think we'll have some subway lines coming up. I think we'll actually want an elevated subway line coming up through this area, so we don't have to build it totally under the water, because that's at a pretty low water level. I did change it. It used to be below sea level, and now it's still below sea level at negative 45 feet. So that would take a lot of jank in the subway yard in order to make that happen. So it's not necessarily something that I would want to do. Anyway, I believe the next step that we're going to do is start building in some of these university buildings so that we can get a nice outline for that. And I think I want those mostly to be right up here, so then we could have some businesses along this area and maybe some housing as well along this area. So I think I'm going to put a little bit of that in, and we'll be right back. Alright, I have done a lot of work on this city and this section since the last time I talked about it. So let me just recap over that. I built out this university and I think it looks quite nice. This is going to be, from the zoning, like a shopping center area. So I think honestly that this is going to be more low density business, although it could be high density business depending on how the demand looks here. It does look like our commercial buildings are occupied, so in that area, so that's good, even though we don't have very much demand to build new ones. This one's not occupied, but that's a standalone building, and I don't know how it calculates the rent or anything like that. So anyway, this area of it is going to be largely populated, and I'm debating making this triangle over here like the mansion triangle. You know, I mentioned a couple episodes ago that I wanted to have like an area where I would put all these mansions down here and together and have that look really nice. And I think it's possible that this little triangle down here might work well for that. You know, it could be an area that's like near the university but not on it, and it could be like where the university president lives and stuff like that. And it should be sufficiently far away from this little park to not be right next to it, but should be close enough to it so that, you know, it makes the land value be real high. So for example, this industry moguls mansion could be put here, but it's quite large. So I don't know if this area is actually going to have enough room for that. I could try it. These other mansions aren't that big and could probably be coaxed to fit in here, especially if I changed the shape of this triangle a bit. So anyway, I think that I might do that real quick and put in a bunch of these mansions right here. Because I think that this little space on the bottom here is going to be pretty nice for them. So this area won't have business in it. This area won't have business, I believe, at all. This will be a populated area, I think. I feel like this area, this little triangle, I feel like it should maybe have these medium density buildings. But I'm also considering maybe putting row houses there. I think I'll put one medium density building here, and then I will build some row houses as other places. Right like that. And this should be commercial. So this I'm just gonna paint the whole thing in as low density commercial, and that should be good. I added a parking lot and I added this statue here, and I think the statue looks really nice in this area. I also went ahead and plopped down the disease control center, which I think looks good with the medical university right here, even though it does have this big cutout for the parking lot at the end, which there aren't too many cars parked in there. And I also wanted to, in this area, put this Health Research Institute. I think I want to make like a little mini campus area for it over here. So I might do that and then come back in a little bit. I also added the Technical University in here. So this area has capacity for a lot of students, and I added another college in here as well. So my thoughts were this would be, you know, some dorm area and some shopping, and this would be more dorms, and this would be dorms as well down here with these low rent apartments. I put a bunch of those up. So I think that the university complex looks pretty good, and of course the students would also be able to live over here in this area. But I get the feeling that most of them would end up commuting in. I'm not actually sure if the students live somewhere other than the university, because it says I thought it said dorms. I don't think the students live in the university like there are dorms built in. I think they all commute in. So it's important to have a strong population in this area. And I think this area up here will be also pretty heavily populated. So that will help as well with the population. But I think for this episode, I also want to talk about this bridge. I spent a lot of time in the fast forwarding trying to build this bridge in such a way where it connected and was over on top of the sea lane. So I finally got that to work, but unfortunately, what the sea lane did is when I built it, it lowered the level of the terrain directly under it. So then this canal isn't as full anymore, and then this port here, our terminal, is having problems. No, it's not, I mean, it's still functioning, but this is messed up. What just happened there? But also the ships have to dock at a 45-degree angle on the grass, and then they just kind of are fine with that. So that's unfortunate, and it looks bad, but, you know, I think it's acceptable for the time being, just because I think that largely this is what it has to be. Sans being able to put in a drawbridge going right across here, and also sans being able to make the water level higher in this area, which I tried to do, but it didn't really end up working out because of the shipping lane. I digress. The last thing I want to do in this episode, that all is going to be for a different episode, because this one has gone on for far too long. So the last thing I want to do in this episode is to fix the highway, which I think I said I wasn't going to do in this episode, but now I am, because that will then dictate where I can build in the next episode. So I'm going to do that now. And so what I'm going to do is, at least for this section of the highway, I may or may not finish this section, but we need this section because that will also help me gauge the traffic in this area, because it's artificially being backed up by just kind of them having to take this bridge and stuff like that. So what's going to happen with this highway is that this section is going to come out here across the bridge. It is going to connect up with the highway going to this section up here, so that's going to come down diagonally and then come down here, connect here with probably a four-way junction. That's going to go ahead and connect up to this highway, so that highway is kind of going to be rerouted to go up this way and connect into that junction that I'm going to build. And I am going to have this street, this big one, come up more a bit and kind of go and merge into that highway, so traffic can merge from the highway onto this street and come down into the downtown area very easily. So that's what I'm going to try and build, and I'll time-lapse that. See you then.
Okay, I just wanted to pop back in here for some final words because this will finish off the episode. So in the time lapse, which hopefully won't be too long, there's a lot of time lapses in this episode, and it might just be a really long episode. But we got the highway built. It's like this now. This is going to be a highway exit. This is also going to be a highway exit, and then this is a highway exit. I also added a bridge here, and I want to add maybe a couple more not too many bridges across this place, because if anything is going to be over here, it's going to be like suburbia, right? And if anything is going to go over here, it's going to be also maybe mostly suburbia with, honestly, I think I want to put maybe some row houses in this area as well as this area, so I can get a couple of metro lines sneak in there and get decent use out of those. And you pretty much need row houses or medium density to be able to get any use out of the metro lines, just because of the population density that it gives you. So yeah, I also wanted to, speaking of the metro lines, I thought about putting some going like up this way and into here, but that would also necessitate putting more row houses up here, which I definitely could do behind this mountain, and they would have good access to the highway and etc. So that could definitely work well, but this area up here, if anything, it would be suburbia, and our metro lines would probably stop. Somewhere around this highway exit would probably be the last place I would actually put a metro stop, is right there. But yeah, so those metro lines would take our people to downtown, and I want this metro line and this metro line here, which is the train station, to connect probably right about here, possibly. I think I want them to both go this way, connect, and then kind of continue on, you know, down here and around a little bit, and I could have a different metro line that maybe connects to the train station again, or connects to a different one and goes maybe on this street, and then either stops or connects back and then goes back up like this. So yeah, I think we'll figure out the metro system in a different episode, and once we've actually got maybe some people living in here and a better idea of what this downtown is actually going to look like properly. But in the next episode, what I want to do, thank you for watching, is to complete this area, fill in the rest of the houses in this area. I ended up not putting in any of those mansions down here because honestly, I didn't like how they looked down here. I didn't really think that they fit very well, and I'd also kind of like to have all of them unlocked before I make that mansion district and put them all in. So because of that, they might not be all put in exactly some particular way, but hopefully they'll look good. And I don't think they would go here. I didn't really like how they looked here. I think it's a bit too close to the downtown area, and especially because I decided to move the bridge. I didn't like the bridge being over here, and it was making this interchange really messed up and not functioning very well. But there was also a pretty bad intersection. So I imagined this intersection would have a lot of traffic on it, and so that is why I took that bridge away from this intersection to give it a little more leniency and ability to handle traffic, especially traffic from this highway, which could be coming in from up here, here, everywhere, you know, and all funneling down into here. So I connected the bridge down here near to this intersection, which means that this area is going to have permanently high traffic just because of all these two intersections are kind of close together. But the bridge fit down here much more nicely, so that's a very good thing. And I don't think it matters if the bridge is just a little bit longer, because it's really, their choices for driving are taking this bridge or taking this highway and then coming all the way back down here and going to the exact same place. So anyway, to give them a little bit more freedom of choice, I want to put in another highway exit, I think probably on this one, on this street that's going to come through, because we already kind of have one on this street, by having this interchange built in. I built this by hand because because of the mountain, and I kind of had to build it underground. So I think that highway interchange looks like it's going to work pretty well. And so I approve of this, and I'm proud of this. I did a good job, and I took a lot of finagling, as you saw in the time lapse. But this highway junction just comes right here and connects directly onto this street, which is pretty much what I wanted. And the cars move pretty quick, especially on our high-speed highways. So, yeah, this should work pretty well. And that takes us directly to our transit center. So I zoned in some commercial by this transit center, and hopefully that'll zone in, especially when we have some more people living in this area. I imagine that some of the low-density commercial, at least that I zoned in this area, would have gotten bought up by now, but I guess not. I think we really did overbuild our strip mall over here, and it looks like we've got a hotel that popped up here, so I am gonna have to destroy that and move it. But anyway, not my point. I think we probably overdid the commercial in this big mall here, so that's my bad. But hey, when we get more people, our commercial demand will recover, so that's good. And yeah, I think that'll be all. See you next time.